Welcome to my tutorial on how to attach a zipper to a knit or crocheted cardigan. I have the garment inside in and I'm putting the zipper underneath. I'm going to fiddle around till I get the zipper and the yarn to be where I want it to be. So I have it lined up the way I want it to be. And now the challenge is to get it to pin and stay where I want it. Once you have it all safety pinned in place, you're going to want to put your hand in the garment from whichever way is easiest. I have my hand going through the bottom here. And just make sure that you haven't accidentally pinned the zipper to the back of the garment. Once you're sure of that, unzip the garment, and you're going to take each side separately and sew the zipper onto the garment, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Just get some basic thread that matches either the zipper or the yarn. I would recommend trying to match the zipper more than the yarn for this particular thing, but just use what you have, basically. Some of the quick and simple pointers for basic hand sewing, although this is not a basic hand sewing tutorial, is you're going to want to take some thread and do the length of your arm from just extend your arm and roughly to where your nose is. And these are approximates, so don't sweat the small stuff. And then just cut that length of thread off. You're going to need a basic sewing needle of some sort. I know that this might make some crafters cringe, but all I have is some basic dollar store needles, and they serve the purpose for what we need here. Okay, so I prefer doing a single thread, but sometimes a double thread is a good idea too. It's all a personal preference for this particular part, so just work with whatever preference you have. And just tie multiple knots. Try to get them in the same place numerous times so that you have something that builds up a little bit like this. Is it focusing? I don't know. Hopefully that focused, but you get the idea. Just try to get the knot in the same place numerous times. We're going to start by poking through the fabric next to the zipper, and it's going to be the part that is going to be hidden. So in between the crochet or knitting and the zipper. And just pull it through, but don't pull too hard, because if you do, you'll pull the knot right through and you'll just have to go through again. So there is two different ways, actually there's probably more than two, but the two ways that I'm going to show you today are, the first one is the simpler one. Once you have the thread on this side here, you're going to poke through the yarn like so. I'd say like splitting the yarn, which is usually considered not so great if you're crocheting, but it works for sewing because when you put it on this side, you can't see the needle, at least not as if it's going through the fabric. And then when you would also catch the zipper like so, or the fabric next to the zipper is what I mean. Make sure you don't end up with a tangled mess, and pull it through. So I'll show you that again. It's similar to a hemming stitch if you've ever done any hemming, only it's a little more forgiving because the yarn is so thick you don't have to worry about it showing on the other side as easily. And you would just go through like that. And this is a very quick and simple way of doing that. Sorry for the pauses in between, I just don't want to end up with a tangled mess. So that is technique number 1. Since this is just a single thread, I can undo this and show you the second technique that we're going to be showing you in this tutorial. And this is the bonus side of having a single thread, is you can undo any mistakes you did without having to cut anything. And then you can just redo things. The downside is you need to make sure to pinch the eye of the needle as you go through things. Otherwise, your thread might get, you might fall out of the needle. In which case you just redo it. It's not a huge deal. Okay, so the second technique I'm going to show you is not that much harder. You would go about the distance of a large running stitch or a basting stitch. You would go through like this, just the zipper part, and then before you come through to the other side, you would split the yarn that would be on the other side of the running stitch. Pull that through, and then attach that to the fabric next to the zipper. And then, oh, that's gonna tangle if I pull it. There we go. And then you have a running stitch. I think I might have drifted off screen there, so let me try that again. You would go through the fabric on the zipper, like so. Where the thread is here, you're going to split the yarn, like so. And then just follow where the thread comes out and make the second half of the running stitch. Once you get into a bit of a flow with this, it'll be a little bit easier to do the first half and then do both splitting the yarn and going through the other side all in one motion. But don't push yourself if you're just learning. There's no need to make it harder than need be. So again, for the simpler version, you poke through the fabric part of the zipper, pull the thread through, split the yarn like this, pull that through, and then make the second half of the running stitch over here. Try not to get tangled like I just about did there, and make the second half of the running stitch. So this is a little tedious, but on the flip side, if you split the yarn like so, I'm just going to leave the needle in so that you can really get a good see of it. See how I'm splitting the yarn there? If I flip it on the other side, you can't see the needle where the yarn is split. Like you can see it shine through a little bit, but that's not the part where you're going to be seeing the stitch, which means it's going to be invisible when you're done. And sometimes that's ideal because sewing can look a little bit awkward next to crochet and knit. I mean, they're both beautiful forms of art, and they can be done together very nicely. But for this particular type of project, it's sometimes nice to hide the stitching. I'm not sure if there's a fancier name for the stitch I'm doing, but it's basically just a running stitch done in parts. So for the knots, I'm just going to shorten the end there a little bit. And then I just do a simple 1, 2, 3 around here. Pull it into a knot. Catch another couple pieces of yarn. Actually, I don't think that was a good idea. Let's go through a piece of yarn. I'm going to go through a few pieces of yarn. Okay, and then just do a simple 1, 2, 3. I like to do a couple of rounds of 3 if I have enough thread, just to make sure it's good and sturdy. And now we have half of the piece of Velcro all done. Now these fabric things are a little bit too long, so I'm just going to cut them off. And we're officially done! Yay!